When it becomes your turn, you're going to do all of the parts of a turn that you want to do all at once. The first part of a turn is always comprised of the illegal actions that you can do. If you want to skip part 1 of your turn and not do any illegal actions, you can go right on to part 2 and that's fine. We're going to focus on part 1 for the time being. There are 3 illegal actions that you can do on the first part of a turn. The first one is pulling a heist. The next is to steal from the discard pile. If you decide to pull a heist, you cannot steal from the discard pile. If you decide to steal from the discard pile, you cannot do a heist. The third one is to steal gas. The only action that you can do on a turn before a heist is stealing gas. No matter which illegal action that you choose to do, if you roll a 1, you fail. Even if you're doing a heist and you have extra inside information and a diversion and all that kind of thing that makes it seem that you have a negative amount of heat, a roll of 1 is still a fail. So we're going to take a look at stealing from the discard pile first. So we have a beginning of the game set up for Granny here. Her 7-card hand consisted of $150 of seed money, and then she's got a couple of fortunate events, of diversion, and a card that she can't use because she already has a motorcycle. Now it's her turn first, and she's going to decide that she wants to see if there's anything in the discard pile that she wants to steal. Now only 4 types of cards can be stolen from the discard pile, that being seed money, vehicles, weapons, and inside information. On the top of the discard pile we have $100. Then we have an escape from a Mexican jail, a motorcycle, and a knife, combat knife. Granny's going to be interested in stealing that $100. So what she's going to do is she's going to roll the die, and she has to roll higher than all of the heat on her, which is 0 right now, plus 1 for the card she's trying to steal, plus 1 for every card on top of the card she's trying to steal. So in this case, there's no cards on top of that. All she has to do is roll higher than a 1, and she's successful in stealing the $100. So if she is successful in stealing the $100, she gets 1 heat, and she gets the $100. So Granny's not interested in the escape from Mexican jail or in the Harley. If she wanted that combat knife, what she would have to do is she would have to roll higher than 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, seeing as she doesn't have a weapon in her hand at all to buy, she's going to go for it at the beginning of the game. Why not? She has to roll higher than a 4 to get the combat knife. She rolled another 8. So, she gets another heat. She gets the combat knife right into play. Anytime you steal one of those items from the discard pile, it goes right to the table for you. So Granny here stole multiple things on one turn, which is fine, but we calculated the risk individually for each time that she tried to steal something. If you steal a vehicle from the discard pile, it's going to start with 1 heat as a stolen vehicle. In this situation, if Granny had rolled a 2, then she wouldn't get the combat knife. It would stay in the discard pile. She would still get the heat for it, and her turn would be over. She doesn't get to go on to do the legal actions. She is completely done. Turn over. Something else illegal that she can do on her turn is she can steal gas for her motorcycle. Now, because she only has $250 in seed money, and she doesn't have any 10s or 20s, and she doesn't want to spend a whole $50 on gas, she can just try and steal gas. So then what she has to do is she has to roll higher than the heat on her vehicle. So in this case, there's no heat on her vehicle right now, so she has to roll higher than a 1 to get a full tank of gas. She rolls a 3. She gets a heat marker on her vehicle and a full tank of gas. If she had rolled a 1, she would not get the gas. She would still get the heat marker, and her turn would be over. If you want to pull a heist, there are some prerequisites. First of all, you have to be in a Mexican city. You have to have a vehicle. You have to have a weapon, and you have to have a full tank of gas. If you don't have all of those things, you can't pull a heist. So here we have Yum Yum, who is in Ensenada. She's got her Volkswagen Beetle, the Smith & Wesson 38 Special, and a full tank of gas. All she would have to do, because there's no heat anywhere, she would have to roll higher than a 1 in order to be successful in this heist. So she rolls a 12 and she is successful in her heist. Her reward is 2 Nuevo Peso cards. She's got 2 of 10,000, so she's going to keep those to herself. She's going to get heat on herself, she's going to get heat on her vehicle, and she's going to get heat in Ensenada. Now that she's successful, she has to speed away, and then her turn is done. Now we'll get to speeding in the next portion. If she were to have rolled a 1 in this case, she would still get the heat for doing the heist, so she'll get it on herself, she'll get it on the vehicle, and in Ensenada. She would not get the Nuevo Pesos, and she would start her next turn in a Mexican jail. She would also lose her weapon to the discard pile, and if she had had any Nuevo Pesos from any previous heists that she hadn't stashed at home, they would also go away. She would lose those as well. In another scenario for Yum Yum here, she's got some heat on herself and she's got some heat on her beetle. She's also got some inside information here for Ensenada. You notice she doesn't have a weapon. That's because the inside information for Ensenada specifically states that a weapon is not required for that heist if she's using the inside information. Even if you have inside information on the table in play, you may opt not to use it for a heist if you don't feel you need to. So because of the heat on herself and her vehicle, she'd have to roll higher than 4 for the heat and 1 for the heist, so higher than a 5 to be successful. But the inside information takes away 2 of those heat, so she's going to have to roll higher than a 3 to be successful. If she is successful, she's going to get 2 Nuevo Pesos cards. She's going to speed away. This is going to be considered used, and she'll be done, as well as she's going to receive heat on herself, her vehicle, and in Ensenada. If she had been unsuccessful, she wouldn't get the Nuevo Pesos. The inside information would still be considered used. She would still get all of the heat, and she would start her next turn in a Mexican jail. We'll talk a little bit about starting your turn in a Mexican jail a little bit later. Here we have another heist scenario with the Knickknacks, and they're in Chihuahua. Now you can see they've got a vehicle, they've got a weapon, and they're in Chihuahua with a full tank of gas. There's 6 heat involved here, 3 on the Knickknacks character, there's 2 on the Chevy Nova, and there's 1 in Chihuahua. So 6 heat plus the 1 for the heist itself means you're going to have to roll higher than a 7. Not great odds. However, they do have the inside information, which reduces it by 2. They're a double character, so they have a built-in diversion, which means that they're going to have to roll higher than a 4, plus they're going to play a diversion out of their hand. Diversions and unfortunate events have to be played before the roll of the die, so they're going to have to roll higher than a 3 in order to be successful in this heist. A lot better than 7. However, before that roll, someone else is going to play an unfortunate event, which adds 1 heat, so now they're going to have to roll higher than a 4 to be successful in this heist. Should they be successful, they're going to get a payout of 4 Nuevo Peso cards, because the payout is increased due to the inside information. The diversion is going to be used, the inside information is going to be used, the unfortunate event is going to be used, and all go to the discard pile. They're going to get more heat on themselves, their vehicle, and in Chihuahua. The Knickknacks are going to speed away and be done their turn. Now, had they been unsuccessful in rolling higher than what they needed, they're still going to get the heat. They're not going to get the Nuevo Pesos. The inside information, the diversion, the unfortunate event, and the combat knife are all going to go away. And the Knickknacks are going to start their next turn in a Mexican jail.